And here's our presentation on Tristan and Isolde, a 70s themed wedding. We chose the 70s because the 70s themselves are very romantically themed, and there's a lot of flower power, there's a lot of bright, vibrant colours, and we thought that quite matched with the overall themes of Tristan and Isolde. And the wedding itself was able to be moulded into the way that we wanted to see it. So, first up is lighting, which is so when it came to the aisle, I wanted more pinkish tones because the colours of a wedding are normally more innocent, like you see white, the bride wears white. So I went with more of a pinkish tone with the lighting to kind of simulate that like innocence and the purity and the overall romance of what a wedding is supposed to look like. Including this, I added some flower patterns down here. You can't really tell the flowers, but these are a smaller, more simplified version of the flower string lights you may see right over there behind you. These are more references I took when it came to what the lighting was looking like, and I took specific inspiration from this photo here, and ideally, if we had all tables, we would have little bottles like these filled with lights, whether they were blue, pink, or gold. They would be placed upon all the tables to add a sort of inviting feeling into the wedding and to the audience who are sitting around. This is another photo of the flower lights, just to kind of see how they would look and the way that they would illuminate a room of this kind of size. When it came to making mood boards, I tried to fit a lot of like the kind of 70s look. So a lot of like disco themes, a lot of bright, colourful lights, a lot of pinks, a lot of oranges. When it came to actually taking the lighting itself, I took more pinks and more like pastels because those are the kinds of colours that more fit into the characters themselves and the ideal themes for the wedding. Things like the roses and the small jars of string lights right here. When it came to actual lighting and the small lights, I thought more string lights like the ones in the jars, and these kind of disco ball lights are really cool to me, and I think if we were allowed to hang things on the walls and everywhere else, I would have hung them from the ceiling to kind of add a more immersive experience and to kind of seal the room in and make it more of a closed area so that the audience kind of gets separated from the outside world. So I wanted to get some lighting that was more character specific. So, for instance, one idea that was given to me by Catherine was to have some flashlights that, when pointed at the front, would add this green hue. So, at a specific scene where in the play Tristan walks up and interrupts the wedding to give his speech, the audience would be given out these flashlights with green that they could point at Tristan, which has a double meaning where it's being pointed at Tristan because he himself is jealous of King Mark and Isolde because he wants Isolde, he wants that love, and also jealousy for the audience because they kind of are in the place of the love spotters and they are observing this wedding, pointing these flashlights at Tristan and at the general wedding scene, framing the jealousy and envy of this piece. So it kind of made Tristan out to be more of a green in the sense that he is envious of everything that's going on at the moment. When it came to entrances, I really liked the stairway entrance with the steps going up. So unfortunately, you can't see it here, but I had a transition where the doorway here would fade from pink to red. Pink for when Yizzle enters with her bridal dress and her flowers. Red for when King Mark enters. Pink for Yizzle because of innocence, of romance, love. Red for King Mark for more of a more lustful version of love and a more proud feeling to who he is as a character. And some of the whites here to also have that wedding theme as well with flowers. And yeah, I will be now passing over to Catherine, who did set.
Hi guys. So, firstly, I just want to speak a little bit as to why we chose this room. So, after spending all day in Belgium, walking around each room, we kind of knew what idea we wanted, but we weren't sure what room would actually fit that properly. And then as soon as all four of us stepped in here, we just like had an epiphany, and we were all like, oh my god, this is exactly what we must do. And we found that this space felt the most natural to fit our theme of a wedding. Obviously, it gives that church kind of chapel almost vibe in here, but also it's a lot more intimate than a lot of the other rooms to give us a chance to have the audience feel more immersed into our pieces. That was like our main feel. We wanted the audience to feel like wedding guests, so we felt this room would really, really fit that. So the actual set itself would have, now that we've kind of come back in the room and we've reassessed the space, we've realised maybe round tables wouldn't be our best option, but possibly I was thinking like semicircle tables maybe to kind of have that split so there's less room in the centre so we can have our aisle. But each table should be able to fit about 3 people, so we have, I did not do the maths for that, so I don't know how many people in total would come and watch, however, each table would have 3 people, so there we go. But all of the tables would be facing inwards and also up here, so then you can see what is technically the aisle and altar, but will in turn be our stage for the show. Up the altar and into the aisle, it would be a purple carpet with gold trim, because we felt purple has that royal essence, you know, it's a very royal colour, and then the gold trim to represent wealth, as you can see, and that's on there. And also, with the chairs, if we had a lot more room, we could really focus on those like minute details. I was thinking wooden chairs with possibly purple or gold silk material wrapped around with then obviously flowers. I was inspired by these pictures a lot. I thought it has that kind of like 70s feel that you want when you're in an immersive, you know, show. And then as for the tables itself, for tablecloths, I was thinking of more muslin or cheesecloth type of material because that was very, very popular in the 70s. And then on each table, we would have bouquets, and later on I will show you a list that Benny came up with of flowers that fit our theme. But first I'm just going to quickly show you the very first concept we had for this room, which I made online. It was originally meant to be that, and then we came back and we like realised maybe we have more space, so then I made this, realised maybe we don't have as much space as we do, so it's definitely something to reassess in the future if we were to ever come back on work here, is definitely to make sure that we have written down our measurements. But also, going back to the flowers, I kind of looked at the list that Benny gave me, and I felt because our theme is mainly purple, gold and white, that we would use these flowers. So we have honeysuckle, true happiness, bonds of love, nostalgia, old flames; heliotrope, devotion and eternal love; yarrow, courage, healing, everlasting love; speedwell / Veronica, which I prefer; devotion and fidelity; purple hyacinth, sorrow and the desire for forgiveness; and then on the very end, white lily, modesty, purity, virginity, and that can represent all 3 of the main characters in this scene. Also, going back to something that Benny said about lighting, to do with the bottom. We originally wanted to use candles on all of the tables, have that more intimate kind of we want it to feel very, like Billy said, we want it to feel very closed in, very intimate. We're all in this together sort of thing. But then we found that something that would maybe look a little bit more homemade and kind of fit that theme of like bonds tying together was this glass bottle with lights in. So yes, also going back to something else that Billy said, if we had the opportunity to have things on the ceiling, we were thinking of hanging fairy lights all above, just like as if it was like snow coming down, but in fairy lights. So, yes, and over to Molly.
Hi guys. I was in charge of making a soundscape for our piece, and part of the soundscape was the little bells you heard as we walked in. I didn't make the bells, but the bells existed. But I did create a piece of music on GarageBand, so I'll play that now. So the start piano symbolises the start of the wedding. So like Mark's here, he's waiting for Izzo. And that second piece of piano symbolises Izzo walking down the aisle with femininity and daintiness, which is how the king perceives Izzo. And then I also made a soundtrack to the wedding scene with different songs here. I'll play little snippets of them in case you don't know what songs are. This is Daydreaming by Aretha Franklin. All of these songs are songs from the 70s to fit in with our theme, and also because music was very big in the 70s. This symbolises Isolde longing and dreaming for Tristan, even when she's being wedded to King Mark. Then we've got It's Too Late by Carole King, which shows that it's too late to go back on the marriage now. And it also foreshadows how it was too late to go back to Tristan after she found him dead, as well as the fact it was too late to leave her marriage behind for Tristan. Then moving on to Kill Me Softly with this song. It shows how this marriage kills both her and Tristan inside because they know that they can't be together however much they would like to be. Then we have Vienna by Billy Joel. So Vienna symbolises Tristan in the fact that he waits for Isolde and will always wait for her. It also symbolises King Mark waiting for Isolde to be done with Tristan. Then we move on to the final one, which is A Song for You by Donny Hathaway's. This is pretty much how I see Tristan's point of view to be, and it shows how much he loves Isolde, even when she doesn't seem to reciprocate it in the same way. In the lyrics of this song, it says, I love you in a place where there's no space or time. So even though it's not the right timing for them, Tristan still yearns for Isolde. And there's the Spotify code. Yes. So now we're moving on to costume, hair and makeup from Emily.
So I won't go through all the characters, because that'll take forever. So I will only go through the main three, which is Isolde, Tristan, and King Mark. Starting with Isolde. For Isolde's makeup, I have given 2 designs so that the director can choose which one they prefer the most. I've done this with Tristan as well, but I've also made sure that it can either be altered or just use from the whole show to make it seem a lot easier for people doing costume and makeup backstage. But I've done the makeup on Willie.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I used the star because I thought it really fit the character. And it really gave like the 70s like magical world that I was looking for in the character. It gives something because it's so colourful. It's got flowers, which is great as well. She's very nature. And then hair, I took. Once again, I did it on Molly.
I'm not going again.
Once again, I've done it so that it can be used throughout the whole show. So the pieces at the back can be taken out really quickly, really easily, to make it a half up, half down style. That's quite nice. Or the veil can be added or removed to make it really fit each scene for the whole show, make just the whole process a lot easier. And then for It's Not Costume, we have this dress here. It gave the original inspiration. It gave the original inspiration for her dress, but it's not exactly what I want. So I would change. It's my design here. So what I would change about this, I would keep the neckline and the sleeves, but I would change the sash around the waist to flowers to match the makeup, and I'd add layers to the skirt to make it floor length and really accentuate that we're in the 70s right now. So that's his art. Moving on to Tristan. For this scene, I really imagined him to be drunk because he's sad, so he's drunk. So I would say this picture here is the vibe I was going for. But for his makeup, I have, as I said, given him 2 designs as well, which can be used throughout the whole show again. So for example, this one, tear stains can be removed or added in like 30 seconds. For maybe a quick change. Yeah. And his hair. I think it said in the play that he was a knight. So I wanted an idea of like old money, to make him look rich, but not as rich as not. So old money, if you use it properly as well, it can like show that you are messy, that you are under the influence of something, and just a wreck. And then for his costume, which is here, I'm gonna get it down, but I can't reach it. I have used, thank you. So I wanted a suit because he's at a wedding, but I wanted to mess it up a lot, and picture, right? I wanted to mess it up a lot, basically to show the audience before he even does or says anything that he is drunk. I also feel it would be very easy to do that with this suit as well, because it's got the patch on the elbow and because it's tweed, which if you use it correctly can make it look scruffy or empty. Finally, King Mark. So for King Mark's makeup, I wanted to keep it very simple, but give it that sense of superiority against all the different characters. So I did that by, I wanted to take like the influence of this makeup in the middle. So I wanted to like accentuate the features of his face. So lining his eyes, filling his eyebrows, contour, bronzer, stuff like that. But I wanted to add like gold accents because gold has been perceived as riches for centuries. So people automatically connect that to royalty. And then for King Mark's hair, I wanted to keep the trend of old money going. So I took influence from young Prince William's hair. So I wanted to keep it similar to Tristan's, but definitely neater, to make him look more put together and respectable as a person. And then finally, for King Mark's costume, which is kind of put together here, I wanted to I wanted to keep the classic, like royal look when they get crowned, just like in a coronation. So, but also keep like the modern twist on it. So keep it 70s and everything like that. So this is basically what I wanted. The things I would change on this is I would change the fur like lining on the neck to the classic white and black spotted fur. And then I would also want to add military badges to make him look heroic and loyal to his country. That's it for question Hank. Thank you.
So, anyone have any questions?
Guys, can you talk a little bit more about the flowers and why you came to use flowers to signify stuff, and how the audience might be able to pick up on those cues?
Well, it was pretty much something that I thought about when we first were doing a lot of the diorama stuff, like seeing what we could do when it comes to colours and when we were first making the PowerPoint. And I liked the idea of giving almost a gift to the audience who looked really close at small details, because I know personally I love to look at the smallest details of set design and see where they've hinted at things to happen later or to just happen in general. And I think it's quite fun to be able to hint to the audience that, you know, this is a wedding, but if you look into the meanings of the flowers around you, like for instance, if there is, for instance, on the flyers that have been placed on your seats, there is a red tulip and a yellow rose. The yellow rose symbolises jealousy, which is the stand-in for Isolde, where she has people who are jealous of her. And then the red tulip is like vows, like marriage bonds. So that's King Mark, and the two flowers representing each character is how I wanted the flowers to be used in general, because I think that having the audience look into that and actually notice that there is a deeper meaning to what they actually think is really interesting. It makes the audience think more after they've seen the performance.
Thank you very much.
Can we ask one more question?
Obviously you mentioned about it being like your 70s themed quite a bit, and I'm just wondering, was there something in the script that you thought that's where you got the idea from, or was it an image? Like, what was the thing that clicked for you for choosing the 70s?
We did discuss this, like at the very beginning, like when we were first in here, we had this long conversation while we were in here, and we were like, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. However, we didn't write any of it down in the moment, so we remembered the main ideas, but then for the past like 2 weeks we've been like, what was that one thing that told us to do this? Like, because there was definitely a conversation there where it wasn't just like, oh, flowers, that's what we're going to do, or this. There was definitely, we remembered something from the script itself, but sadly, by our own fault, which is like so unprofessional, we actually don't remember. So
Do you
yeah,
have any
I'm
hints?
sorry.
Are there any, do you guys have any like ideas?
I personally,
I think a lot of it could be because obviously Nihai's version of Tristan and Isolde is kind of set more modern than obviously the other interpretations of it, because it's from way back in the day, you know. And so I think we wanted to do something similar to Nihai in the sense that we didn't want it to be like set back when Tristan and Isolde was originally made, and I think that we're all very passionate about the 70s genre, and like we said, stuff to do with flowers, the fact that music was so like iconic back in the 70s, and costume styles as well. They had very strict fashion sense in the 70s, and I think that we wanted to use these like very strong ideas and put it into our performance. Yeah.
Thank you.